Hi, my name is Alicia, and I started this channel because I wanted to encourage other people in their walk with Christ. I wanted to be a light in the world and allow Jesus to use me for his glory and for his purposes. I do believe that our life is our ministry, and I believe that we all can help each other out some way or another by telling our testimony of how God has brought us through. Just to give you a little background of my story, it is very interesting. Basically, I was raised by my father. I was taken away from my mother at the age of 2 or 3. And my mom, she had two other daughters, my two older sisters. And my oldest sister, she had a different father. The oldest one, she had a different father, and she went with her grandmother on her father's side. And then me and my older sister, Ashley, we went with my oldest sister and her grandmother, but she wasn't able to take care of all three of us. It was just, too much, which is understandable. So then me and Ashley also went to go live with one of my biological mom's siblings, her brother and his wife, and it wasn't very loving there. I just remember my uncle Vin. He was kind of weird. I mean, just he was kind of weird, but it wasn't very loving. We definitely saw the difference of treatment that my cousins experienced, versus me and Ashley. Like, they were being treated with more, they had more privileges than we did. And, it just wasn't very loving there. So then after that, my dad, who I'm not sure, but I think he was the one who actually called protective services on my mother to have us removed from the home. But I guess he was in the process of trying to get custody of us. So we had to go live with different relatives until he was able to get everything together for us. Yeah. So then me and Ashley ended up living with my father, and he had a girlfriend who later became his wife, who later became like a second mom to me, because she taught me how to be a lady. She taught me manners. She taught me how to, just take care of a home and clean, and, just the basics of things that you need in life. She kind of, taught us that. They ended up getting a divorce. I witnessed, physical domestic violence in the home. My dad was abusive to my stepmother, and then my biological mom told me that he was abusive to her, but I didn't see it because I was a baby. But yeah, so I saw that, and it didn't happen often. It would always only happen like around the holidays. But my stepmom, who was my second mom, actually left him because this time it had got serious, and she's finally seen a scar on her face, and that woke her up to leave him. And I totally understand. I don't condone violence at all. We tried to stay with my stepmom, me and Ashley. We tried to stay with my stepmom as long as we could. But she actually said that I was kind of getting out of hand. She couldn't handle me. She couldn't do it, alone, because she had two of her own children, and then me and Ashley. So my dad ended up coming to get us, and I was probably 10 years old, and we lived with him. It wasn't peaches and cream. My dad always, he worked, but he was always out, in the streets. Like, he wasn't a thug or anything. He just would be gone. He was always gone. And so, me and my sister Ashley was left at home a lot by ourselves. So we really didn't have a family, the normal family structure. At first, I really believed that we did when I was like 5 and 6 years old, when my dad was with my stepmom. And, we would do family activities, and we will always, eat at the table. We respect our parents. My stepmother taught us manners and how to, respect your elders and stay out of grown folks' business. Like the basic things that, well, at least I feel like they're basics. And, we would go out sometimes with our family, on Fridays, and Um, we would sometimes we would have like I remember one time we had like a lemonade sale and a pancake sale. I'm sorry. So that was that. So we had some type of, you know, family. I had experienced that, like our Christmases, if that's a word, our Christmas, you know, were big. We used to have 2 trees. Don't ask me why. My parents probably was able to afford it. I don't know. I just know we had one in the living room upstairs, and then we had a finished basement, and we had another tree downstairs. That's all I know. And they provided us a blessed Christmas to me. And okay, so fast forward to you know, going back to living with my dad. I was 10 years old, and my dad, he stayed in an okay neighborhood. I don't know, it wasn't too bad, but I had to go to the local like elementary school that was there because I was going to a private school, and I had to go to the local school that was near his home. And the neighborhood wasn't horrible, it's just the school was very just not, it was kind of rough in a way. It was kind of rough. And, you know, just going to school there, you know, my sister Ashley is 3 years older than me, and that school stopped at 5th grade, and I was in the 5th grade. She had went on and went to middle school at a high school / middle school. And so I was at, you know, elementary school by myself, and, you know, I experienced for the first time bullying from girls that were my friends. And I didn't understand it because I never got an explanation of why they didn't want to be my friends anymore. But yeah, so I experienced that. My dad ended up pulling me out of that school and taking me to my old elementary school that I went to when him and my stepmother was together, which was a really great school. It was a cultural school, so, you know, we were right there around the art institution and the art institution, the museum, the not the auditorium, the planetarium. And, you know, we were around like the library where everything is at, the auditorium, the Whiting Auditorium. We was down there. So it was a really great school, and even there I experienced bullying. It was a guy who liked me, and we called ourselves being boyfriend and girlfriend. I was in the 5th, and he was in the 6th grade. And it was another girl who I guess the year before they were boyfriend and girlfriend. I don't know. You know how we were when we were younger. At least that's how, you know, we thought we had our little boyfriends. I did. But anyway, you know, she didn't like me because of him. And so, yeah, so she, you know, would say things and call herself trying to fight me. But, I mean, it never happened. But it was torture because, you know, I never fought before at that time, and, you know, I was by myself. But anyway, so I went to this school, and then I remember wanting to go to the high school that my sister was at, but you had to have like a certain like reading score and math score, and I had a low reading score. So they declined my application, and I had to go to the local middle school, which was next door to the elementary school that my dad pulled me out of, where the girls were bullying me at. And I went to this school. It was a middle school, 7th and 8th, well, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, but I went there in 7th and 8th grade. And once again, it was girls that didn't like me. It wasn't so much bullying going on at that school, but it was a lot of girls that didn't like me because, once again, I had a boyfriend in 7th grade who was my boyfriend in 8th grade, the same guy. He was, you know, he was a very attractive guy. You know, he kind of looked older than us, so he was kind of, you know, tall, you know, compared to us, and had his facial hair and all that stuff like that. So basically, I'm 12 years old in the 7th grade. So I remember in June 14th, it was 2 days before my birthday. I remember that me and this young man had sex. I had sex. I gave my virginity at the age of 12. I didn't have no idea what I was doing. I mean, we all know that it's wrong, but we really don't know why it's wrong. We just know, okay, we're not grown, so y'all telling us, y'all grown people telling us that we can't have sex, so we're just gonna sneak behind your back. Like, you tell us not to do something, we're gonna want to do it anyway. And the type of relationship that me and this young man had, it was kind of serious. It was almost to the point where it's like, at 12 years old, how are you even thinking this way? But I did. Like, he was like the first person during this time where I felt who loved me. Like, I mean, literally. Even though we were young, even though I know he truly didn't know what love was, he had my back. Stuff. And, he would hug me. We had affection. It was physical affection. And living with my dad, he didn't meet anyone at the time, like, serious. After my stepmom, he would date and bring different women to the house or go to their houses or whatever. But my dad, he wasn't an affectionate type of guy with us, me and my sister. And I could say like my older sister was kind of like a late bloomer. She was very shy, and she basically, wasn't as experienced as I was. I had the friends, I had the boyfriends, I was always on the phone talking and stuff, and my sister was very shy. So I couldn't talk to her because she couldn't relate, she couldn't understand what I was going through. So I don't even remember the topic of me and this young gentleman talking about the reasons of why we wanted to have sex or what the case may be. And I'm pretty sure he asked me if I ever had sex, and I told him no. And I think I asked him, and I remember he told me he did with one other person before. But I'm pretty sure somewhere down the line we made some type of agreement that we were going to do this. And that's exactly what happened. I remember afterwards I was more like, oh, I did it. That's it. Like, that's what the fuss is about? Like, it was almost like, and I kind of felt like, ooh, like, oh my God, I really did this. Like, I can't tell nobody. And I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my sister. No, I didn't tell my dad. And I didn't tell nobody. I didn't tell my stepmom. I didn't tell nothing. She actually met the gentleman. My dad knew. Okay, so I left off basically saying that my mom and my dad, my stepmom and my dad and my sister, everyone knew this gentleman. But I didn't tell anybody that I was having sex. And I wasn't going to tell that. It's not something you want to tell your parents at 12 years old, 13, or whatever the case may be. So, eventually, now it's time for high school, and I knew that this gentleman was going to a different high school than I was going to. The high school that he was going to, I knew I wasn't going there because majority of everyone at the school I was at was going to this high school, and they didn't like me. I said, I'm not going through another 4 years of torture, bullying, girls not liking me, threatening that they're going to fight me. Like, I want to go here. And I asked him if he wanted to go, and he was like, no, it's a tradition in my family that we go to this high school. So basically I ended up going to another high school than him. And I just said, like, I just told him up front, like, look, I know I'm a jealous person, and I know that I would not be able to handle you at school with older women who have, boobs and now and all this other stuff like that. And they're going to like you because you're, fine. And I just think we should break up. And he was like, no, we can do this. And I was like, no, I already know me. And I said that because while me and this gentleman was in a relationship, I was so jealous. I was so jealous of girls who came up and talked to him. I would physically put my hands on him when I was angry. I would threaten him that I was gonna break up with him because I just wanted to feel like I was in control. I just wanted to know for sure that he wouldn't leave me, and I wanted to see his affection. I wanted to see him cry and say, Alicia, don't break up with me, because I wasn't getting that love anywhere else. I mean, as an adult looking back, I was just all over the place, and I just remember I was just like, no, we just need to break up. So eventually he agreed that, we were going to break up, and I remember, us, basically after school, on the last day of school, we said our final goodbyes. Now it's high school, and all I know is sex was an active activity in my life. From me going from high school until my adult years, I kept some type of boo. I had a boyfriend that in my head they were my boyfriends, but I wasn't their girlfriend. If that makes sense of what I'm trying to say. But yeah, like high school was just another story. I actually went to two different high schools and I'm still living with my father. I still see my stepmom from time to time. Now, I know you may be wondering, where is my biological mom through all of this? I would rarely see my biological mom. Even when we were younger, you know, we would see her on Christmas. Sometimes we would go visit, you know, my grandfather, which is her father. And, you know, I would see her there. And then a blue moon, my dad would take us to go see her. But I really didn't get a chance to see her. Trying to remember. Okay, yeah, so I switched high schools one time before because I once again got myself into some situations. I think I smoked my first like Black and Mild when I was 14 years old. I was still having, you know, sex and just doing whatever, and I wasn't really good in school. I probably kept a C or a D. I just made sure that I passed. My dad, he never really like sat down with me and talked to me about this type of stuff, and I was like, I feel like he just was like, as long as you pass, that's all that matters. My dad met this woman that he actually liked, and you know, she was kind of rough around the edges, you know, somebody you don't want to mess with. And that, you know, she had two children of her own that were close to my age. They were younger than me, but they were close to my age. And just seeing the world in a different light, being around them, you know, seeing and meeting tough guys, you know, thugs. I'm meeting thugs. And older men are starting to look at me. You know, older men. I was like 16, 15, 16, like older men that were like 18 to 24 were looking at me. And so I began to talk to these guys that was in this neighborhood because my stepmom mother lived in the hood. And so there were, you know, people that they knew on the block, but but you know, it was guys that would see me, and then that's how I started talking to older guys. And then next thing I know, I'm 16, 17 years old. I met this guy that was like 18, and he lived down the street from my dad's wife, who is another stepmom. Yeah, no, that's another story. Like, you know, my dad and his wife. But anyway, so he lived down the street from my dad's wife mother, and I met him one day while, you know, it was sunny outside. And of course, I approached him. I approached majority all the guys I dealt with, which I'm not happy about, but you know, I did. Like, if I seen a guy I liked and I wanted, I made sure that I got his attention some way or somehow. And anyway, so me and this gentleman dated. Like, he was 18, so you know, when you 18, you can do whatever you want. His mom wasn't strict. My dad was strict, and my dad really didn't like him. And you know, I just got into so much, you know, sneaking out, chasing after this guy. I didn't trust him or anything like that. And you know, it just got really, really bad. I remember on my birthday, I did something so stupid. And that's another story. I did something so stupid, and basically, you know, I tried to get my boyfriend at the time, him, to lie for me, and he wouldn't do it. And that day, he ended up breaking up with me. So later to find out, you know, me and him basically kind of like got back together, or somehow he was cheating on me with some girl. I found out about that. Whatever the case may be, it was another girl involved. And then me and him ended up start talking. Then we ended up talking back again, and then I realized I started to notice little baby clothes and baby things around his house. And you know, I made it a joke like, hey, you got a kid or something coming? And he's like, no, that's my sister's, you know, baby stuff. And it made sense because his sister was pregnant at the time. He basically had a baby by the girl he cheated on me with. Like, in their spare time, like when we were broken up, he connected back with her. The only thing is, he didn't tell me. So I had to find out the hard way, which was he left his wallet in my car at the time, and I seen the ultrasound picture with the girl's name on it. So of course I flipped out, go to his house, I make a scene, like it gets physical. I'm trying to fight the girl. By this time I've been in a couple fights before this incident. You know, I was kind of reckless at this point. Yeah, I was trying to fight the girl, you know, whatever the case may have been. It was just a big blow up. So I kind of got over it. I cried my tears. He basically, you know, like I said, he had a baby by her. And I kind of like just cried my tears, just trying to finish out my senior year in high school. And the next thing I know, someone like calls my phone and just like plays some type of crunk rap music on my voicemail or on my phone. And all I know is that I got up from doing homework, and I was living at my grandfather's house at this time because it wasn't working out for me at my dad's house. He allowed me to live with my grandfather. My grandfather didn't care. So I basically, my grandfather had a rifle at his door. When I heard them people playing on my phone, I knew exactly who it was. I knew it was the girl. Well, at least I thought it was. I still don't even have confirmation about that to this day. But I basically grabbed the gun and I got in my car and I just drove to every location that I've ever met my ex-boyfriend at or seen him at or dropped him off at or whatever. And I finally found the place, and the girl that was his now girlfriend at the time, who was his girlfriend, his current girlfriend at the time, I knew her vehicle. So I seen it parked at one of his homeboy's house, and I just jumped out the car and I pointed the gun at the house. Like, their door was open so you could see through the screen door, and I just pointed at the house. And then his friend kind of come to the window, I mean to the door, and I'm like, tell him to come here. And I could see him like right through the door, and I just pointed the gun, and I act like I have never shot a gun in my life. And somebody told me, like, if you would have shot that rifle, girl, you would have been, you know, you would have flew all the way back. And so, you know, it's not funny, but I'm just thinking to myself, like, what if I really did shoot that? You know, it would have been horrible. But anyway, I didn't shoot it. He didn't come to the door quick enough, so I just didn't know what to do. I just wanted to destroy something, so I seen her truck, and I just took the rifle and I just banged it against the back of the truck window, and it shattered. Then that's when everyone in the house jumped up, and the woman of the house was like, you know, screaming at me, and I just jumped in my car real quick and just drove off. And then next thing I know, this truck comes up from the side of me, and it was him, and he's trying to block me off. Then I found he didn't know that I knew someone who lived like right there, so I kind of like slid through her driveway in the back, because he was going towards my grandfather's house, because it was like we were right there. Everything was so close. So he went to my grandfather's house thinking he's gonna beat me home. But he didn't. I didn't go there. I knew he knew where I stayed, so I didn't go there. And so he went there. My sister had a car, and it was broken. It was broke down, but he actually threw like a pulley inside, like in her window, and bust her windows. Of course, she was mad, but she wasn't as mad because, you know, the car was broke down. But still, she was mad because she was thinking like, okay, what if my car wasn't broke down? Like, he threw something at my window, and I had nothing to do with this, and I totally understand. The police got called, and they came to my grandfather's house, and my grandfather like, look, we're going to tell them that you did not have a gun. We're going to tell them that you threw this at them. I said, Granddad, that don't make sense. How I throw some frozen meat at their window? Like, that doesn't make sense. And so I'm like, I'm just going to tell them I did it with a hammer or something. Like, I can't say I threw some frozen meat at their window and it bust their window. But basically, they wanted me to write a statement, come down to the courthouse. And I just remember that night, I just kind of like ran downstairs in my granddad's basement, and I just got some music. My sister had a little playlist, and she had some gospel music in there. And I'll never forget this song. And this song is actually like my conversion song. And it's Marvin Sapp, For You Alone, Our God. I think that's the name of it. So that was my conversion song. And then, like I tell you, it was probably like 3 weeks later after that, I was asked to go to church with a friend of the family's. She's family, but through marriage. And basically, she invited me to her church. Before going to the church, then when I said I had got the gospel music, I was pouring down crying. I was asking God to save me, to help me. I didn't want to get locked up. I didn't want nothing. I didn't want no charges. I didn't want nothing. I was just like, Lord, I was crying. I was apologizing. And I didn't know what was to come in my life, but I just knew right there at that moment, I knew I was wrong, and I just was tired of it, and I just cried out to God. And then that's when I got invited to the church. It was a Baptist church, so they had some type of class where the pastor kind of like talks to you, and he tells you about the Trinity, and he talks to you about Jesus and the death, burial and resurrection of God, of Jesus Christ. And I just remember, going to Bible study. I was just getting involved, and I would read my word. And I was just so hungry for God. And I remember cutting off, like, I didn't really cut off friends, but I kind of did, because they would call and ask me if I wanted to, like, go out to the club, because we were 18 now. So they're asking me, like, do I want to go to the club? And I'm like, no, I don't want to go to the club. I was working, and I was just so, I was focused, and I just was enjoying, knowing God personally. Now, I told you my whole story up until the point where I gave my life to Christ as an adult. But throughout this whole time, the first time I went to church was with my dad and my stepmother, who raised me, my second mom. They did go to church on Sundays, so I was introduced to the church, God. I knew he existed as long as I could remember. We didn't serve God like we should have in the home. While I was growing up, there was a lot of times, my parents didn't go to church, and we knew God exists, and we knew Jesus Christ was Lord, and we knew that he was our Savior, but I didn't know what I know now. That will conclude my story up until when I first gave my life to Christ as an adult. So I hope you guys got a chance to get to know who I am. I will post more videos and giving, different testimonies of different things that I've experienced in life, hoping that it encourages someone else who may be going through something, as the same thing, or something else that, they may have some type of trouble. I just wanted to remind you that this is a Christian-based channel. So I do believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, and God as my Father. So, and I do believe in the Trinity. God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So this channel is to encourage and motivate people, to follow Christ, and to not give up, and to know that this world is not your final destination, that our home is in heaven with God, and he requires us to be holy as he is holy. And although, we know those things, and it gets rough, but we can do it through the power of the Holy Spirit if we just allow God to use us, and if we are obedient. That's what I want to say. If we are obedient to the Holy Spirit, to God, and it's amazing. Life is amazing. So I hope you guys come back so I can tell you some more stories. But until then, I will see you guys later. Thank you for your time, and have a blessed day.